You know what, sir? Talk about your view, and I may even keep you a few minutes more. I know Bob Chapman won't mind. We've got to go to break, but I'll probably keep you 5 more minutes if you can. But start getting into how you... I mean, you talked about the former British Prime Minister telling you that he was concerned about a total police state.
Yeah. When we come back, yeah?
Absolutely, but we've got about a minute. Get started.
Okay. Well, no, let's remind your viewers, Ted Heath was a British Prime Minister. In other words, he knew exactly what was going on behind closed doors. And he feared, after he left office, that Britain would become the first police state. And I can see it in my country as well as your own. All the monitoring that's going on, all the cameras, all the tapping of telephones. I tell you, Alex, when I get up in the morning and the first time I make a telephone call, I normally say into the telephone, good morning 5, good morning 6, our 2 agencies, good morning CIA, good morning Mossad, and bugger the lot of you.
So do I. No, I do that.
Yeah. No, but it's fundamentally, Alex, a question of human nature, you know, and this is the big test. Can we address that in the last couple of minutes after the break?
Yes, we'll do that and then get Bob Chapman's take on a host of issues straight ahead. Our guest, we'll have a few more minutes left, and then Bob Chapman coming up, ladies and gentlemen. AlanHart.net is his website. Our websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
All right, finishing up with Alan Hart, dealing with 9/11 and who stood to gain, who was involved. We're finishing up our discussion with him, and then Bob Chapman of the internationalforecaster.com is going to be joining us. You were talking about the former British Prime Minister who you were having dinner with many years ago, and this was back in the 70s then, because that's when he was Prime Minister. Yeah. And he said, I'm afraid of a police state. And then we saw that modern police state grow in England, and now that exact system that's been beta tested there is going in worldwide. We learned Google is really an NSA front. They're spying on everything. They've got predictive programming systems that they call basically crystal balls, where they can basically predict the future of what masses of people are going to do. We have the elite playing God with a high-tech Orwellian panopticon. Your closing comments on that?
Alex, I think the single most important question, and it's very germane to everything we've been talking about, is what is the real quality of human nature? Now, we all know there are two views. The pessimistic view says we human individuals are on balance inherently, unchangeably short-sighted, selfish and stupid. Now that's the view of politicians because they need it to be that view. It's the view of the mainstream media. It's the view of corporates, bankers especially. But there is another view. The other view is that put into words by my favorite philosopher, who happens to be an American, John Dewey. Are you familiar with his work, Alex?
Sure. Tell folks his quote.
Well, John Dewey wrote sometime in the 1920s, 30s. Now, incidentally, I had this view myself before I knew it was his. He said, we must unlearn what we have been taught about the unchangeability of human nature. In other words, Alex, what he was saying is, we have been conditioned to be short-sighted, selfish and stupid. It follows that we could be reconditioned by education to be something else. That's my point, and I believe that's the key to everything.
And we are educating and informing here today. Well, it's also, who do you build up as an idol? Inventors, trailblazers, scientists, people who make self-sacrifice, or movie stars, Lindsay Lohan, what's the new drug she's on? So they've taken the weaker elements of humanity and focused on it in a feedback loop by design in their own documents to debase society. The Romans 2,000 years ago were doing this, and as they got more decadent, the more games, the more bread and circus, the more dehumanization. So, I mean, you read Edward Bernays, you read Joseph Goebbels, this is stuff 50, 60, 70 years ago, and you could see it all in play today. But that development of where I'll be reading a British psychological war manual from the 60s, declassified in the 90s, and I would have already thought everything in there about human nature and how they manipulate us. I've already seen the programming, reverse engineered it, and then to read them laying out how they do it, and all the different layers, like an art form of different types of propaganda and brainwashing, all integrated in together. It is devastating the average person who was never brought up to even be on the lookout for this. But the good news is it was 5% that established our republic. It was less than 5% that got the Magna Carta in England. It's always been a highly motivated group of people that have great movements for good and small groups that have great movements for bad. So we know that if we who are awake and informed and truly care do not stop and take action, history will be ours. Or we can turn it over to the control freaks who want to turn us into a bunch of mindless animals so we can be more easily managed. And to me, that is a great crime against humanity, because I'm a fan of man. I'm a fan of our society. I'm a fan of where we can go. I realize life is but a flash, but the species can go on forever. And I'm in love with humanity and the great beauty it creates. And so I hate the desecration of our species, the vandalism of humanity by the controlling oligarchy, and it is my sworn duty to resist them. And I really appreciate you joining us, Mr. Hart.
Alex, can I give you a one-sentence wrap-up?
Sure.
I think modern life is a dehumanizing process, and to echo what you've just said, I think the name of the game is that we have got to claim back our humanity.
Well, that's what Thomas Jefferson talked about. He was worried 230 years ago about people moving into the cities because he said they will lose touch with what it is to be a human. And again, we've now seen that. I see it with my own children. You know, I'm not teaching them how to repair things, how to fix things. I know less than my dad knew. He knows less than his father knew. And who was the philosopher that said, and then I want you to close commenting on this. I look forward to having you back on. We appreciate your time. That adversity, makes wonderful, powerful, dynamic people, and decadence, lots of largesse and makes monsters. I mean, I butcher the quote, but adversity, makes men. Decadence makes monsters, but I think we're in this process, but it's the first time in history we have a scientific elite that other dictators and people have instinctively understood manipulation. These guys have graphed it all out and compartmentalized it all, and they brag about it, and it's so cold-blooded.
Well, I can tell you, Alex, in another sentence about adversity. 8 years ago, I had a stroke. It left me speechless and it paralyzed all my limbs. But I was told by my consultants to apply my mind and make my neurons in my brain form new connections. You can triumph. You can come out of adversity even stronger.
Well, God bless you. Thanks for coming on today, and it's good to have you, as you said, being part of this growing society of truth. God bless you.
Look forward to doing some more, Alex. Take care.
Take care. Appreciate him spending time with us.